I hope you are all prepared for the coming weeks because we just got these transcripts. More documents are expected and things are about to get crazy. Or maybe not, because we've been kind of waiting for something to happen for a long time and it's just a slow trickle. Bring it on, man. Dump the documents. Make an arrest. Obama knew details of wiretapped Flynn phone calls, surprising top DOJ official in meeting with Biden. Declassified documents show. For most of you who have been following this, and I know many of you have been following this a lot more than I've actually talked about it. Some people say, Tim, you're behind on this story. Well, hold on. I'm just waiting for everything to come out so that I can say definitively, here's what we got. You got to be careful with these things, right? Obama knew. How did he know? Why did he know? What was going on? And as many people speculated for a long time, Obama was in on it. Now, I don't know for sure, and that's why I'm being very careful. But more documents are expected. What I can say in this story from Fox News, we're now learning from these transcripts that for the past couple of years, this information was kept from the public. To what level of involvement did Obama have, and why did he know about it? Let's actually just read this. There's a lot to go through, but this pertains to Michael Flynn. And I'll tell you what, man, there's like prominent resistance type leftists, and they are in full on panic mode, trying to justify what we can now look, man. I'm just going to say it. It was a conspiracy against Michael Flynn. It really was. And isn't it funny? You can't say that word, the C word, but think about it. Let me show you this from the Washington Post, August 8th, 2016. Lisa Page, Trump's not ever going to become president, right? Struck. No, he's not. We'll stop it. Stroke to Page. I want to believe the path you threw out for consideration in Andy's office, that there's no way he gets elected, but I'm afraid we can't take that risk. It's like an insurance policy in the unlikely event you die before 40. So here we have these texts. We know that the FBI was going to close the case against Michael Flynn. We know that from the released notes, they were trying to get him fired. Come on, man. Now, I know it's a little bit. We're seeing through a keyhole into this large room full of just crazy shenanigans. But at this point, with the evidence that's been released, it really does seem like rogue FBI agents, for now, conspired because of their fear of Trump to take out Trump's staff, and I mean that career-wise, politically, targeting his job, trying to trick him into lying, and trying to use the Logan Act in a way that makes literally no sense. And now it gets even crazier because Obama knew. Why? How high up did this go? Apparently to the president. Let's read this. Fox News says President Obama was aware of the details of then incoming National Security Advisor Michael Flynn's intercepted December 2016 phone calls with then Russian Ambassador Sergei Kislyak, apparently surprising then Deputy Attorney General Sally Yates, according to documents released Thursday, as exhibits to the government's motion to dismiss the Flynn case. Obama's unexpectedly intimate knowledge of the details of Flynn's calls, which the FBI acknowledged at the time were not criminal or even improper, raised eyebrows because of his own history with Flynn, and because top FBI officials secretly discussed whether their goal was to get Flynn fired when they interviewed him in the White House on January 24th, 2017. Obama personally had warned the Trump administration against hiring Flynn and made clear he was not a fan, according to multiple sources. Obama had fired Flynn as head of the Defense Intelligence Agency in 2014. Obama cited insubordination, while Flynn asserted he was pushed out for his aggressive stance on combating Islamic extremism. On January 5th, 2017, Yates attended an Oval Office meeting with then FBI Director James Comey, then Vice President Joe Biden, then CIA Director John Brennan, and then Director of National Intelligence James Clapper. According to the newly declassified documents, including an FD 302 FBI witness report, they were discussing Russian election interference along with National Security Advisor Susan Rice and other members of the National Security Council. After the briefing, Obama asked Yates and Comey to stay behind and said he had learned of the information about Flynn and his conversation with Russian ambassadors about sanctions. Obama specified that he did not want any additional information on the matter, but was seeking information on whether the White House should be treating Flynn any differently given the information. A previous memo from Rice stated that Biden also stayed behind after the main briefing had ended. So Joe Biden knew as well, huh? At that point, the documents showed Yates had no idea what the president was talking about, but figured it out based on the conversation. Yates recalled Comey mentioning the Logan Act, but can't recall if he specified there was an investigation. Comey did not talk about prosecution in the meeting. The exhibit continues, quote, "It was not clear to Yates from where the president first received the information. Yates did not recall Comey's response to the president's question about how to treat Flynn. She was so surprised by the information she was hearing that she was having a hard time processing it and listening to the conversation at the same time." Yates, who was fired by the Trump administration after taking the extraordinary step of refusing to defend its travel ban executive order in court, would later say that she was concerned Flynn would be vulnerable to blackmail because of his interactions with Russia. Fox goes on to say the Logan Act, an obscure statute, has never been used successfully in a criminal prosecution. Enacted in 1799 in an era before telephones, it was intended to prevent individuals from falsely claiming to represent the United States government abroad. In its motion to dismiss Flynn's case on Thursday, the DOJ noted that the law was an unserious dead letter. Also released as an exhibit Thursday was a head-turning 2-page document outlining why the FBI opened its counterintelligence probe into Flynn in August 2016. The FBI offered only 3 reasons: that Flynn was cited as an advisor to the Trump team on foreign policy issues, February 2016. He has ties to various state-affiliated entities of the Russian Federation, as reported by open source information, and he traveled to Russia in December 2015, as reported by open source information. The state-affiliated entities line was an apparent reference to Flynn's paid appearance at a Moscow gala for Russian state TV network RT in 2015. Flynn also reportedly received thousands more in expenses covered by the network and in speech fees from other Russian firms, including some payments that he initially didn't disclose on ethics forms. The payments raised eyebrows on Capitol Hill, although Republicans pointed out that many other prominent officials, including Bill Clinton, have traveled to Russia for highly paid speaking engagements. Glenn Greenwald, progressive, anti-Trump, The Intercept. You know him, you love him. He tweeted this: "I'd still like to understand what was improper about the incoming national security advisor of a newly elected administration calling his Russian counterpart to try to tamp down tensions in the weeks before he took office. I wonder how many Americans even know about the recently discovered FBI notes regarding their intentions before interviewing Flynn. Same question for the recently discovered FISA documents undermining much of the Russiagate conspiracies. These have been largely buried in the media." Why did the FBI want to get Michael Flynn fired? Perhaps there's a reason, but it really does seem that because it was Peter Strzok who literally did keep the Flynn investigation open, based on his conversations and the text messages published we've seen this news for years. The insurance policy. Washington Post says FBI texts evidence of treason and a coup. I'll tell you what, man. When an FBI agent says, "No, he's not, we'll stop it," and then does what he did to Michael Flynn, to Donald Trump's staff, stands to reason his intent was not law enforcement. Put these things together. And I'll tell you what, I'm only scratching the surface on this one, because like I said, I'm taking only the surface level stuff here and making sure this stuff is in stone. Now, a lot of people have speculated. There's a lot of opinion on the matter, but this is what we have in fact. An FBI agent said he was going to stop Donald Trump. An FBI agent tried to he literally kept a case open when the FBI was trying to close it against Michael Flynn. And then in notes, they stated, the FBI agents, they wanted to get Flynn fired. That has nothing to do with law enforcement. It should be clear right now. It should be clear right now. Motive, intent, action taken. It's crazy to me, man. But I'll tell you what. Let's go back and read this. There's a lot to go through. I want to show you this story from the New York Post. FBI lovebirds Lisa Page, Peter Strzok conspired in Michael Flynn case documents. So this is just from the other day. Disgraced anti-Trump FBI lovebirds Lisa Page and Peter Strzok conspired to keep the case against Trump's former national security advisor Michael Flynn ongoing when they found out it hadn't been formally closed. In a tranche of court documents released after the Justice Department dropped its case against Flynn on Thursday, emails between then lovers Strzok and Page in 2017 revealed they contemplated charging Flynn using the Logan Act as the FBI was preparing to end the investigation. 2 weeks before Trump's inauguration, Strzok, one of the lead agents on the FBI investigation into Russian interference, sent senior FBI lawyer Page a definition of the Logan Act, saying any existing rules on the act does not involve incoming administrations. Page replied, "You are awesome. Thank you." The Logan Act makes it a crime for unauthorized Americans to negotiate with a foreign government in a dispute with the United States, but has never resulted in a prosecution. The emails were sent on the same day that Strzok, then FBI Deputy Assistant Director, learned that the investigation had not been closed in a timely manner, leaving it unexpectedly still formally open. Strzok relayed the serendipitously good news to Page, telling her, "Our utter incompetence actually helped us." His former lover, then the special counsel to FBI Deputy Director Andrew McCabe, reacted with surprise and relief. Documents suggest the FBI was prepared to close an investigation into whether Flynn was a Russian agent before Trump took office in January 2017, but Strzok instructed agents to keep it open for now. Their affair became public, yada, yada, we get it. So let's break this down. Michael Flynn, Donald Trump's national security advisor, contacted a Russian ambassador and started talking to him about, what they should or shouldn't do, blah, blah, blah. Calm down tensions, right? That's what Glenn Greenwald's saying. What's wrong with that? How is that a violation of the Logan Act? Why would they try and threaten him with a violation of the Logan Act? As we now know, according to numerous reports, they wanted to get Flynn fired, and they threatened him with his son. They said, if you plead guilty and cooperate, we will not go after your child. Now, I get it. I use the word child, but, his son's an adult grown man. But you understand. What would a father do for their kid? So he pled guilty. Pleading guilty is not proof that you've done it. It's you just pleading guilty. Now, I wonder, as we now know of basically what happened, there going to be any indictments? I mean, I'm not a lawyer. I'm also not confident. I don't have a lot of faith in the federal government to deal with these things. Trump just tweeted out, "Drain the swamp," he said. Oh, come on. Trump has done such an awful job of draining the swamp. First of all, there are some swamp monsters he has brought in, sort of. I don't view Trump or his administration, for the most part, as swamp monsters. Trump's something else, right? He's a populist. He's not part of the swamp establishment. The swamp is that crony establishment. But you see, when Trump came into office, he had an opportunity to actually fire tons of people, and he waited. Now, I get it. Some people have said, and I've actually argued this myself, that one of the big reasons for keeping this case open and investigating Trump was to prevent him from draining the swamp. While Trump was under investigation for the Russiagate stuff, if he fired a bunch of these people, they would argue it was obstruction of justice. And they're still trying to. So Trump couldn't actually make any moves until this had been cleared. And sure enough, after it was, he started draining the swamp. I still don't think he's done a good enough job, because you have a bunch of people who are in the National Security Council, or were, who are leaking information and basically plotting against him. I mean, I say basically, it is rather opinion, because some people say, oh, but they're heroes blowing the whistle. It's like, nah, man, it's politics. Trump could have fired a ton of people. He should have done it sooner. He didn't. Trump's not, he's not a swamp player. You know what I mean? I think these other administrations that do politics, they understand what they're going into. And Donald Trump wasn't. He was an outsider. So he didn't know what he was getting into or the tactics that would be used against him. Don't get me wrong. There's reasons to criticize him. But what we're learning now is shocking, to say the least. And I really mean it. But what do you think our good friends over at the r/politics subreddit are saying? What are the resistance pro-Biden lunatics saying? Boy, I tell you what, it is a paranoid, delusional state. And of course, they argue the same things about me and about you. I'm not here to argue for policy. I'm not here to argue that Trump is a good person. I'm not here to advocate for the federal government. I actually like the idea that executive authority is being, curtailed because they're so desperate to stop Trump. Hey, these are great things. But I'll tell you what, the facts are the facts. Insurance policy text, we're not going to let Trump get elected. We're going to keep open an FBI investigation. We're going to get a guy fired. There was no reason to charge Flynn. They tricked him. They threatened his son. Come on, man. And Obama knew about it. That's the crazy part. Well, let's pop over to Reddit and see what's happening over on politics. More like anti-Trump. Here's the number one post. Don't forget, Michael Flynn pleaded guilty twice. That's right, he did. That's great. Here's the top comment. Defendant, yeah, I'm guilty. AG, well, clearly there is nothing worth prosecuting here. And then we see this. The next comment says, it's almost like, now I'm going on a limb here, it's almost like the bar is crooked. Whoa, I hear you say, surely such a prestigious office wouldn't stoop to such depths. Surely the rule of law means something. Surely the sanctity of the office stands for something. Then you realize, nah, it's a criminal enterprise. It's a world where black dudes get lynched for jogging, where mass death is acceptable in the name of freedom, and where Jared Kushner is the second most powerful person in the world. Oh, man, I love it. It's like they don't actually read the news. You know what I mean? So after everything I've just laid out before you, them trying to keep open an investigation into a man to get him fired, clearly not a law enforcement matter. And they're arguing Bill Barr is crooked, even though it wasn't Bill Barr who recommended the dropping of this case. It was sent to someone else. This other person then made a recommendation to Bill Barr, and then Bill Barr took action. What more do you want to happen? You see, the problem with these people and how they view the world is that unless it goes their way, it's a criminal enterprise, no matter what. So if Bill Barr came out immediately after he was appointed by Trump and said, I'm going to drop all these cases, I don't care. Yeah, then you could argue like, whoa, he's just doing that for Trump. If Trump says do this thing and Bill Barr's actually disagreed with the president publicly, and he says, I'm going to appoint an independent third party to review this and back away. And the independent third party comes back and says, yeah, this makes no sense. Drop it. And Bill Barr says, you got it. What more do you want? Perhaps these people need to realize maybe you are wrong. But no, they can't. I love it, man. So back over at r/politics, here's what they're talking about. First, don't forget Michael Flynn pleaded guilty twice. Then we have the CDC guide to reopening was trashed by Trump admin, Orange Man bad. William Barr's DOJ is now covering up crimes for Trump in broad daylight from Slate. Trump-Russia investigation. House releases long-awaited transcripts from closed-door interviews. Oh, okay, finally. Something kind of normal, right? Just some regular old news that we can talk about. I wonder what the comments are. Well, let's pop over to this article and see what they're talking about. Oh, what's this? The top comment is just the transcript between Schiff and Don Jr. that proves nothing. And that's what they're looking at. I love it. Here we can see that, and it's funny, too, because they comment like over on Fox News, it's a different reality, man. They've somehow convinced all these Fox viewers that the Democrats are evil. They have? Bro, the FBI agents has nothing to do with the Democrats. Literally did this, saying, do we want to get him fired? Why? Why are you leaving that out? Here's what they show you. They show a conversation between Adam Schiff and Donald Trump. And all they really show is legalese discussion that ultimately resulted in nothing. It's what I don't get. I'm reading this and I'm like, this is their smoking gun. These people are trying to argue that Schiff is the good guy and that what they've released is actually damning for Trump. And all they really have is that Donald Trump Jr. is saying, I talked to my lawyer. Did you go to a meeting to get Russian dirt? And he was like, not necessarily. That's it. Schiff asks basically if, you thought this meeting was about getting dirt on Hillary Clinton. And he says, part of it, sure. And he says, you called it a bait and switch because it turned out it was about some kind of Russian adoption. He says, yes. And while I think it's not a good look for Donald Trump Jr., there's no smoking gun here. They question, he puts all these texts in bold. They question why it is that he's saying, I only discussed it with counsel. Now, Mr. Trump, apart from counsel, there are no privileged conversations. So, did you talk with anyone else? Schiff asks, so did you discuss this with your father with counsel present? Yes. And what these people don't seem to realize, the way the language goes, the reason Schiff is asking the questions and the reason Trump is answering the way he is, Trump Jr., is because they're dealing with a legal matter and language must be absolutely precise. People don't seem to understand that when you're dealing with, a conversation, you've got to make sure you've covered all your bases. You're talking about your lawyers and you're speaking as specifically and precisely as possible. So in the end, what do we have? I don't know. Bad judgment. That's about it. Look, you want to criticize Don Jr. for taking this meeting in the first place? Sure. By all means. But here's what happens in the end. I'm not going to pretend to be an expert on, like I said, I don't know if there will be indictments because I don't know what it takes for any of these things to be a crime, from, FBI to Obama's knowledge. All I know is that I don't like the looks of things. I don't like the idea that Trump Jr. wanted to take a meeting potentially to get dirt on Hillary Clinton. But but Robert Mueller himself has said there's no evidence of collusion. Nothing happened. We've also heard from all of these other witnesses who testified. There was no evidence of collusion, even Clapper. So why would I pretend this is a smoking gun in any in any respect? I wouldn't. I think it just makes Trump Jr. look I don't know, dumb. He did something stupid. But if the people going after him specifically said there was no evidence of collusion, and even in the testimony, no evidence of collusion, then why am I going to assume there was? What you're seeing is this is the best they could do. Discussing dirt on Clinton, nothing came of it. It was about an adoption. That's it. And then it's funny because they go on to say it's like damning evidence of like the law being broken. Bro, even Robert Mueller didn't say that. And he was the one investigating your supposed hero. What do we have, though? I'm not going to argue whether or not Strzok, Page, Obama, anybody broke the law. I don't know. I will tell you all of it looks bad for everyone. But you know what looks really, really bad? You can argue some of these things about Trump Jr. 100%. I'm totally fine with that. We'll have a discussion about why he did or didn't take these meetings, what he should or shouldn't have done, how he testified. But you want to tell me that the FBI was set to close an investigation into Flynn, talked about going after his kid, demanded he plead guilty, and then he does. Then all of a sudden you're lording that over him. Did you even read what they were trying to do? Trying to get him fired. Obama knew what was going on and why. So I don't know what constitutes a crime. And I know a lot of people are probably screaming, saying, Tim, it's clearly criminal. No, I get it. I defer to Bill Barr. Seems like the dude's on the up and up. They certainly don't like the fact they're losing. So they're going to claim that Bill Barr is crooked. Sorry, man. I'm not interested. Bill Barr was the AG before, and he's the AG now. There's no reason to believe that all of a sudden in his after he left the DOJ, he became corrupt. I'm not going to play those silly games. So I guess the question remains now. To what extent was Obama involved? Why did he know about this? Why was the FBI case, left open? And I think you know the answers to some of these questions for sure. I'm just asking them. In that context, where do we go from here? Will there be indictments? Well, the Durham investigation is now a criminal investigation. Will something happen in the next week? I don't know. But boy, it does sound like this is potentially one of the biggest political scandals in the history of this country. I guess we'll find out. I'll leave it there. Look, man, I don't know who's guilty. I don't know who's innocent. But it really does seem like, based on the evidence coming out, we know Russiagate was a hoax. Okay, the people going on TV saying, oh, they did it. Later, they testified, oh, I actually don't know that. I kid you not. So why was Adam Schiff, Nancy Pelosi, saying it was Russia in December, in January, when they knew it wasn't? The best they had was that Donald Trump may have met with somebody and then nothing happened. That's not evidence of anything. But Schiff kept saying he saw the evidence, never released it. Now these transcripts come out proving they've known the whole time there was nothing. Why did they keep saying it? I think we know why. We'll see how this plays out. I'll leave it there. Stick around. Next segment's coming up at 1 p.m. on this channel, and I will see you all then.